Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Morning Edge. I just tried to move those charts, and it ended up knocking all my stuff out. So hang on one second. Okay, and I'm seeing a few more people going to come in. So I did get my computer back. Unfortunately, they had to reinstall the operating system, and some data was saved and some data was not saved. So unfortunately, the data that was not saved, or they couldn't say, or they initially saved it, but when I loaded it up, it didn't come up, was all my charting, workspaces. So unfortunately, I'm starting from ground zero. So let's go. We're going to go, like I said, we're going to have to start. Like I said, these are all brand new charts with nothing on them, with the exception of the euro dollar. I put the bias pivot on there. That's the only thing I've got on there. And most everything I'm just going to do, from scratch. And some of the levels I might remember, have to pull them up from memory. But we're going to take a look at the euro dollar. We did want to cover the news. Pull something up real quick before we go in there. Yeah, I'm looking at Luca. Luca says, so many yen pairs sitting on the edge of the cliff with the 10-year yields at 2.3%. Yeah, we had a phenomenal run in the bonds. Just phenomenal. The bonds, it's interesting to look at, we were talking about, 2.5 weeks back, we had that massive run to, I think it was 53.21, 53.22, and then the market turns around and gives all of it back, practically all the way to the 88% of it back to the pip. Time it was down 49.16, that was 88%. And then we turn around and start rallying back, and then, the whole thing with the French stuff, elections, and the boons were reacting, but not really, to a certain extent, not the U.S. rates. And finally we saw that, and the market just really started, just going bananas on that. So we're going to go in and obviously start here with the euro. Like I said, I lost in the whole thing. I lost all my my charts, so they weren't able to say that. And the computer was so bad, such bad shape that, like I said, they had to reinstall the entire operating system. So let's move on here. So we have 568 and 654. 568 is the bias pivot. Just down here. There, 568. I guess we can go mark that off. Although we all know what it is. Okay. So for today, as I mentioned before, I don't think these markets are going to move very much with the State of the Union address coming up. I remember one of our key levels before. Remember was that we had that lower zone at 722. So let's try and draw that in. I remember that. That lower zone came in at 722, if I remember correctly. That's what, let's see, right? 713 here. Just go with that. We'll have to fill that out. I don't remember what the top of that zone was, but like I said, we'll work it out over the next couple of days and get this stuff all squared away, try and get back on track. I don't, as I mentioned it earlier, I don't expect a lot of movement until we get to the State of the Union, because there's going to be, I think there's that tomorrow night is going to be the potential for a lot of volatility, a lot. So until then, I'm not saying we can't move, but there's no reason for whatever direction people are looking at, there's no reason to push the market out of any real comfort zone. I don't even think we can even make up to the 680. We'll take a look. So 630, and like I said, we're starting from scratch on all this stuff because I lost all my charts when the computer crashed. So for now, we're going to call it 630. 630. We can also take a look at the fib. I don't even have the fib set up. So I'm going to tell them what it looks like. It's the first time I draw the fib, and that looks like, oh my God, what a mess. $622 would be the 38%. But we're going to call it 630. The key on this remains as bias pivot, 568. And I've told you before, I mean, below it, it turns the thing bearish. And that's the key driver right now. I just don't see a whole lot happening until we get that State of the Union. There's no need for anyone to be driven into anything. Support. Move this up a bit. Right there. Got 624. I'm going to go mark that off. So once again, I don't expect a lot of movement. And that should be 524. Obviously, the bias is bearish. So we've gone and completed this one on the euro. Like I said, over the next this week or whatever, little by little, I'm gonna try and put together all the support resistance and levels and zones. It's gonna take a while for all of these markets to do that. The next one is going to be the cable. We'll take a look at that. And boy, the wheels have really come off of this. This market looked like it was really going to get moving, flipping. I think we talked about something about that it could make it up to 2680. It didn't even come close before it fell apart. Once again, we're starting from scratch here. This would be the 50%, 2348, so we'll mark that off. I've actually been working on this since late yesterday afternoon, and then until late last evening, and I got up early in the European session. So I've been just trying to get this thing set up for the webinar. And like I said, obviously some pieces didn't get 2348 right there. And let's mark off this level. 2362. I think we had that marked off once before. Yeah, for now, 2503 is going to have to be resistance here. I'll mark that off too. So we're going to call this the 50% for supports, because you get past this level rather easy. So we'll say 2348 is going to be support. And resistance would be the 2503. comment. So that's where we stand here on the cable. Oh no, what's wrong with this now? This thing doesn't want to move. So let's go to the Aussie. So we know that 77.31 has been a pretty big key area for some time. So let's go and mark that off. And let's see where we stand right now. We talked about how this market was acting tired. We had every reason to try and move up, and it's having the most difficult time. Like, if we see the dollar structure reassert itself, this is one of the markets that's probably going to pull back a decent amount. But for now, we're going to worry about today. So resistance would come in. Right there. See the touches here, and then that actually capped it here. It's a little ways away, but that would actually be resistance. 77.07. So let's mark that off. And support would come in right there at 76.53. We'll mark that off. Okay, let's go on and move into the Kiwi. And for those of y'all wondering why everything looks blank, I did get my computer back, but it was so messed up, even though it's only a 2-month-old computer, that they had to reinstall the operating system, so I lost all of my charting. So I'm starting from scratch. I remember drawing this trend line. And they have not been able to get past this bias pivot, and we'll mark off the bias pivot. 72.35. For today, though, we're going to keep the resistance a little bit tighter. Well, no, it didn't seem like it's that much tighter, but it's 72.20. And let's take a look at support. We had it marked off before 71.79, which was right there. But we're going to lower that down to right there, 71.69. So I'll mark that off. And we'll be back. And thanks for your patience.